This is the top side of the kit. Now, obviously I haven't reassembled. I still have some testing I'm doing. But what you can kind of see is from here, you can barely see it, but there's some lines under there. I tapped in to the vehicle's 12 volt engine circuit. This is the 12 volt circuit that powers up to give supply power to any heavy lifter like the cam control or any oil pump solenoids. Anything that requires a lot of oomph to get moving gets a 12 volt circuit. It's also used as a logic circuit for anything that needs to wake up. For my purposes, I tapped it into a relay. The actual resistance of the coil for the relay is incredibly low, so it's not like it really draws any current, so it's pretty safe. The relay has that bigger cable that goes back to the trunk, and that's how I get the steady high amperage power to the system for use. And then I tie into everything so I don't have to mess with the vehicle's electric system on anything. All of my power goes into this. That means there's no fuse, none of the weird stuff you have to do normally to get the power in there. Not that this is any less weird. Okay, so this is the rear end where I housed everything. To start, I realized with the MB-RP exhaust, everything was gonna be real loud and droney, especially if I took the spare tire out. So I matted everything with this 66 mat and it's worked pretty well. The tank is sitting on two 3D printed brackets that I designed I dropped in riv nuts or nutserts, whatever they're called, and then printed brackets that connect between the riv certs. And the idea was I needed to lift it up to be able to get the clearance. Otherwise it's too close and I wouldn't be able to get the line in. The line comes out over there and then goes into a filter. I printed a bracket to hold the filter. The only real downside to doing it this way that I can see so far is this is the sensor for the level, and it's not gonna work. I tried deep pinning the connector and seeing if I could shave it down, but it started to feel really cheap. So I bought some level sensors, and I'm just gonna tap them into the side and do it that way. I haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna do it, or what the intention of the level sensor is gonna be, obviously, outside of just because obviously it can tell you what the fluid level is, but you could also use it as a kill switch. There's a bunch of stuff you could do, and I'm not actually super worried about it because the car is so advanced at detecting any kind of system fault that if I have any problems at all, the car is going to pick it up long before any technology like this is going to be able to send a signal that I'm going to see, that then I'm going to, you know what I mean? I don't want to rely on the safety systems of the car, but after you've been inside the brain of this thing and you realize how much is monitored, it's like, I'll blow something else up before I cause issues with running out of meth. Okay, the power control system. I don't know if it looks complicated. It's not. It's a main bus power from that relay I showed. The relay sends it into the fuses to the connector to the the distribution. I also did run ground circuit control through the main connector, so anything that needs a ground circuit, like the pump or anything, comes through here and then grounds to there. It's my personal experience, and I imagine everybody eventually gets to the point where you just isolating your grounds to a single point. It's always a good call. It really saves yourself some headaches. In case you're wondering, spare tire, I bought a pump and a patch kit. I've already used it once, works great. And yeah, so that's the kit. Alrighty, so this is where the line comes out of the back of the tank. I'm using quick connects, and as you can see, it kind of comes around the back of the tank. So the holders, I knew how I wanted to run the line. I knew where I wanted everything, and I could see a few places where I might have been able to make it work and zip tie it to the lines and everything, but it just didn't feel right. I wouldn't feel I'd be embarrassed if I lifted up the car and their lines were just zip tied to everything. So I made these, and as you can see, they're assisted with JB Weld. But basically, it's just a little channel that the line rides in, and then the zip tie basically acts as a barrier. I designed it, or I intended to design it, so that there was just enough friction to hold it. It seems like I achieved it. I'm a little concerned that there might be too much resistance causing rubbing and eventually a leak, but we'll see. There's nothing there yet. And then you can see that after it comes down into there, that's the feed, goes into the pump. The pump then shoots it out over here, into this little section. This needs some love, obviously. It's not great, but it'll do for now. And then the line comes down here. It was kind of a pinch point here that I didn't like, so I covered it with the sleeve and then some tape. And then along the body of the car, and then up into, I can't really see it, but it comes up along the frame rail and then up along the side of the trans, but above, sort of near the mount. It's hard to see, but I just sort of placed them wherever I needed, and I let the rigidity of the line do the rest. And then it comes down and into the line. And so far, everything's been holding pretty good. No leaks. Pump seems to work great. I have the progressive side of the pump off. I'm only running I'm running it as a switch right now. Seems to be doing okay. And then this is the last part. I have my wideband, which I'm about to pull out because the wideband failed, or the gauge failed. But I had the wideband running along the channel here, and then it runs up into another, you can't really see it, but I have there's a map sensor for the snow kit, and I have the boost tee off the manifold that you can get, and then I have the map sensor mounted to the body of the car, and then just a vacuum line that runs to it, and that gets that section done. And that's it. That is the meth kit from the bottom. All right, this is the test with Matthew. We're testing the progressive controller, and it didn't work super good. But if you disengage the progressive controller and set it to max, it works pretty good. Ready? There, it's set to 10 PSI and then 10.1 for max.